fitness business family, and what an exciting time here at the podcast. I'm elated to bring you my very first episode with my special guest, Lisa Simone Richards. Here is your Fitness Business Podcast snapshot of Lisa's episode. What does PR mean these days? How is PR different for a large club and a small boutique? And finally, find out the best practice to promote the feel-good stories within your club. And for our Keep Me Fit Bizpiration, Lisa tells us 3 tips to position fitness professionals as the go-to people for health, fitness, and wellness. All that and more coming up in today's show. Welcome to this week's episode of the industry's leading business podcast for fitness owners and managers. This month's interviews are brought to you by our podcast sponsor, One Fit Stop. One Fit Stop provides scheduling, client management, programming, and payment collection tools that will set your business up for success. To find out more, go to onefitstop.com or click on the link in today's show notes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast. I am your host, Dory Nugent. And yes, this is my very first episode. But what a great episode that we have for you today from PR specialist Lisa Simone Richards. Lisa is a publicist for fitness business owners who want to build their authority to grow their business. Lisa Simone Richards helps her client get free exposure using PR to get in front of their ideal client and build the awareness, buzz, and credibility that gets clients running to you. When she's not shooting a national TV segment or working with editors on magazine features, you can find her swinging a kettlebell, getting her zen on at hot yoga, or shopping at her local farmer's market. But before we transition into Lisa's interview, let's listen to a message from our friends at One Fit Stop.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, One Fit Stop, for their support, and we highly recommend all fitness professionals go to onefitstop.com to find out how their software will enable you to take control of day-to-day management in your fitness business. One Fit Stop's scheduling, client management, programming, and payment collection tools will set your business up for success.
Enjoy this week's interview with our special guest, Lisa Simone Richards. Lisa, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you back.
Dory, I'm so excited to be here. And how fun is it that I get to be talking to you as the new host of the Fitness Business Podcast? Congratulations on winning the casting call.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. This is my first one, so I should be thanking you for diving into the rookie here and taking a chance on me and being my first guest. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh my God, I promise to be gentle.
Yeah, definitely a dream job. That's for sure. I'm super excited. What does PR mean these days?
Yeah, it's all about how do you get the word out there about your business and how do you build a reputation in your industry. So I've been working for fitness businesses since about 2009. So we've gone past the 10-year anniversary, really helping them, somebody's already got a group of your ideal clients pull together. How do you get in front of them? So some of my clients have bricks and mortar businesses where they work out with people in person. Others are strictly online. So we think about, okay, who is your ideal client? Where are they paying attention to, and how do we get you featured there? So if I could think about some of my funnest moments working in fitness and PR, I remember when I worked for a women's only boot camp company for 4 years. We grew to being like the largest women's only boot camp in Canada. All of us were under 30, making $4 million a year. We got to go on DVD shoots, so that can give you a little bit of a dating of the time there. But we'd go on DVD shoots to Puerto Rico and Hawaii, and that is the funnest time I think I've ever had in fitness PR.
Yeah. Sign me up for that job. I'd like to go and do that as well. When we all.
Not bad. It was a work trip.
Better yet, right?
What's the hottest trend going right now with in the promotions world? What's the hottest trend going?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. For me, like, I would say really it's just the idea of newsjacking and using it on all the different mediums you can think of. So I think publicity can suffer from being a bit of a dated term, thinking it's just like, traditional newspapers and magazines and television. I mean, I don't even have a cable subscription anymore, but let's be a little more creative and out of the box with what does it mean to leverage somebody else's audience? So does that mean doing an Instagram takeover for somebody who is complimentary and non-competitive so that you can get in front of their audience? Is it doing a Facebook Live in somebody else's group? Is it doing a training in someone else's mastermind? So it's all about what does leverage look like, whether that's traditional media, whether it's social media, but get really creative and think about how can you get in front of somebody else's audience because they've already pulled it together, like I was mentioning before.
How is PR different for a large club and a small boutique?
Yeah, it really depends on your business goal. So for example, if you have a local one-off boutique in your hometown or a regional city, while it's super cool to get featured in a big publication like Shape or Self, it doesn't really make a big difference necessarily to your bottom line unless the purpose is to build credibility. So you can always say that you got featured in that place. However, if you just get featured in your local newspaper or on your local morning show, for example, one of my clients, she trains in New Braunfels, Texas, and now she's the morning show workout girl. So at least once a month, she goes on, does a fitness routine, or not a routine, but she does a workout. And then she ends up enrolling more clients to work with her at her gym because they've seen her on TV. So it's all about how can you get in front of your ideal client, ideally in a way that positions you as an expert, and even better if you don't have to pay for it.
What is your best practice or even advice to do as your client did and to be that person in your local news media?
Figure out who's the person behind the camera that you need to know. So I remember when I was kind of at that moment where I was leaving the women's only boot camp and I was deciding, do I want to go work for a big like consumer brand like LG or Target, or do I want to go work for a Pilates company? Because God knows if I go to another fitness company, now I'm going to be pigeonholed as a fitness PR girl. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, you know what? I pretty much need to have 10 relationships in all of Canada to be able to score my clients the best coverage ever. So you know what? Maybe I will actually go this route. And I just focused on those relationships and leveraged the heck out of them. So I think that is something to consider, like who in your neighborhood are the go-to people you need to know? Who's the person behind the scenes at the morning show? Maybe who's your lifestyle reporter at a newspaper, and who's maybe a person at a local magazine. That's just 3 people you need to know and develop a relationship with to get access to thousands of people.
Can you explain what impact can your public credibility have on your business model?
Yeah, I always like to think of it in terms of like, I think about when I go to the grocery store and I'm looking at which ketchup to buy. Am I going to spend a little extra because I want the Heinz brand name? Or am I just going to probably go for the cheaper stuff? But I'm not sure. You know what? Half the time it's bottled in the same plant. But, there's just something different about having that premium brand. And you know what? I'm willing to pay for the Heinz. So do you want to be the no-name ketchup that people are going to buy because it costs a little bit less? Or do you actually want to position yourself as that premium brand that people are willing to spend a little bit more on?
You talked a little bit about social media in our last question. And in the fitness industry, there's every time you go on Facebook or Instagram, there is a instructor trying to sell themselves or a trainer that's trying to sell themselves. And sometimes it is so much noise, but they don't know how to stand out. I call it like vanilla social media. It's all the same. What advice would you give to a club to when they're pushing things onto social media, not to be so vanilla, not to be so plain? How do you add some flavor in there and maybe go with it, something with some jimmies on top or some sprinkles, colorful rainbow sprinkles or something?
I love that you use the vanilla analogy because at first I was like, ooh, I have to tell her that I'm not a social media specialist. I really wouldn't know what to say there because I don't want to coach outside of my wheelhouse. But when you ask about how to not be vanilla, I know I can give you an answer to that one.
Okay.
So it's funny because I talk about this on stage. So I don't have the biggest sweet tooth. My fiance would absolutely laugh as I say that out loud. When we go to get ice cream, so we go to Baskin Robbins. That's the only ice cream place I will go to. Every single time, without fail, since I was 6 years old. The only thing I get is rum raisin, never anything else. Now, the thing about rum raisin is, I see the face you're making. You love it or you hate it. It is polarizing.
Never had it. I've never had it.
Honestly,
so I'm neutral. I'm neutral.
Nobody has had it. Like, it's me and a bunch of like old people who might like that, along with pralines and cream. That's the truth. And for me, I can't understand why everybody's always buying, some variation of chocolate. Of all the 31 flavors of ice cream, 10 of them are chocolate. I don't get it. But the point of what I want to say is, like, you want to create a brand that people have a strong opinion on one way or another. And you're going to attract the right people, and they are going to be loyal AF to it. And it's okay if it repels the wrong people. So when you have that kind of strong positioning, that's when you're actually going to create a stand that attracts the right people and make the wrong ones go in another direction. So I can't say that that's necessarily the best social media strategy, but in terms of how you're going to position your brand, let people have an opinion on you one way or another. Another way I like to think about it is, if I say Kim Kardashian or Donald Trump, nobody is neutral on those names. You have an opinion one way or another. It's not just like, oh, they're fine. Like, you have a feeling on it. So do the same thing. Don't be afraid to rock the boat, because everybody forgets vanilla. That's the truth. So don't be vanilla.
Let's talk about the feel-good story within clubs. What is your best practice to find that feel-good story and then push it out to members or even the community?
So I would veer a little further away from the feel-good story. As I hear that, I don't know if we're thinking the same thing, but what I'm picturing is like, member of the month kind of thing. Something that really works well for my clients is the idea of newsjacking. So you want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, you are relevant. So one of my clients, one of my first clients back in the day, her name's Amanda Thebes. She runs a company called Fit and Chips. She was just leaving here in Toronto, where she had a bricks and mortar business, and moving to Texas, where her husband had just been promoted. So all of a sudden she had to jump online. She didn't have a base there. This was going to be brand new for her. So one thing that we did to make her relevant was to do something that I like to call newsjacking. And what that means is paying attention to what's going on in the news right now and figuring out how you can insert yourself into that story. So the way we did that with Amanda is, Jessica Biel, married to Justin Timberlake, formerly of Seventh Heaven. She was quoted one day as saying that her favorite exercise to do was pistol squats. So Amanda, who has never trained with Jessica before, saw the article and then ended up reaching out to a number of news outlets saying, you know what? Jessica Biel was just saying how pistol squats are her favorite move. This is why they're such a great move to do. Here's how to do them right. Here's what to make sure you're not doing, and how you can add this into your workout routine. And she got picked up by probably at least 3 major news outlets for that piece. So all she was doing is simply paying attention to what's showing up in the news. How can I get my voice to be a part of that story? And then she was able to get in front of thousands and thousands of potential clients just by piggybacking on that.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. And, I've worked in the fitness industry about 22 years in a large size privately owned club. And you're right. It's like you just get kind of stuck in that mindset of these, exactly like you said, the typical member story, they lost X amount of weight, or your trainers get on there and they're like, hey, do this move. But I love the spin that you're putting on it. It adds a little more excitement to it. Again, let's go back to vanilla. It's definitely not vanilla. It brings that celebrity piece into it. And it's a little more eye-catching. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Another example I can give to that, we're not seeing award shows right at this moment in time, but hopefully a few months from now, I personally don't care, but the world will be back to doing events again. So another thing that really worked for another client was one year, it was like, I think it was the Oscars or the Grammys, it was some award show or another. And all the women were, not all the women, but a very big trend that year, a fashion trend, was wearing strapless gowns. So as we noticed a ton of big name celebrities all wearing strapless gowns, the next morning we went out with a pitch saying, hey, based on the fashions from last night, strapless gowns are totally in. You're going to want to have sexy, shapely shoulders. Here's a workout so you can have really defined shoulders when you're wearing a strapless top this summer. And then she was able to get featured all over the media for that. So again, just paying attention to what's happening on the pulse and how could she make herself a part of that story and position herself as the expert.
Can you give our FBP family 3 tips to position fitness professionals as the go-to people for health, fitness, and wellness?
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
Okay, so 3 tips. Number 1, be Googleable. Don't just get found on your own sites and your own social media. We Google search everything that we buy to check out its credibility. So make sure you're being found in external places, whether that's another website, a podcast, but definitely be Googleable. Number 2, this is kind of similar. Have other people talking about you, whether that's referrals or testimonials. It's one thing to scream out, hey, everybody, look at me. I'm so awesome. It's very different when somebody else is like, oh my God, look at her. She's so awesome. So you want to get that third-party endorsement. The third tip that I can give is to really figure out your own voice and how you're going to stand out. You want to be able to create a movement with your brand, something that people are inspired to follow. So if you're just selling them on squats and lunges, that's something that every trainer is doing. So really get into what is your movement, what are your values, what do you stand for, and why should people want to follow you?
Keep Me, smarter member retention. KeepMe.ai.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today, Dory. It has been super fun to be your first guest.
Lisa, it's an absolute pleasure. We hope to have you on again in the near future. And you're always such a great supporter of the podcast, and we greatly appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you once again to Lisa Simone Richards. Now here's a message from our podcast partner, Team Rockstar Fit.
Team Rockstar Fit is an award-winning mastermind team that helps fit pros lead happy and balanced lives. Get mentoring and support. Learn how to grow your business online with Beachbody. You can apply for a free consultation today at teamrockstarfit.com.
Quickfire 5.
Enjoy this week's Quick Fire 5 with our special guest, Adrienne Antigua.
Adrienne, here we go. Number 1, why do you do what you do?
Yeah, so for me, above anything else, anything I do is always with my family in mind. And so with that being said, working at Gainesville Health as a whole has really become an extension of my family. And what I mean by that is I have a deep amount of care for the people I work with every day and the members that I work with as well too. So it's really a group of people who are driven by the same core values. We live the same culture, and we're focused on being better every single day.
Oh, awesome. Number 2, what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
Yeah, so for me, I'm extremely technology driven. But for me, I was thinking about this question. What really, my ritual is just having a notebook and handwriting my notes into the notebook. Just handwriting things down just allows me to process information a little bit differently and a little more deeply. Probably a little more important notes than just putting everything on direct to the computer.
The good old-fashioned notebook, right? All right, well, this kind of leads us into question number 3. I'm going to force you to choose an app or a system that you use to stay in control of your workload.
Yeah, the one I'm most obsessed with right now is a website called Monday.com. And it's a project management tool that you can completely customize any way you like. And if you saw my boards, there's about 50 of them, which is probably excess of what I need. But Monday.com is my number 1 app, I would say right now.
Okay, we'll have to check that one out. And number 4, besides the Fitness Business Podcast, can you give us a book, a podcast, or a blog that you would recommend to our listeners, and why?
Yep, my go-to book always is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It's essentially my Bible for work-related items, along with my personal life. I must have read it at least 15 times over, and I digest it differently every time I read it in different aspects of my life. So it's the way I train, it's the way I lead, it's the way I interact with my family, it's the way I communicate, everything. So that's my number 1 book.
Awesome. Good choice. And our last one, what topic will you focus on in your main interview?
The topic we're going to focus on is mostly focused around the culture of our team here at Gainesville Health Fitness and all the things that we do and what we do to make sure we're moving forward.
I loved recording this interview with Adrienne, and I can't wait to share it with all of you next week. Now, here's a message from our friends at Precor.
Tribe, if you haven't explored a functional training space for your gym, then now is the time. With Queenex Functional Training by Precor, there is a unit to fit every space. Plus, education is included to ensure that training is delivered with confidence. You need to jump online and check this out right now. Go to precor.com/fitness business podcast. Hi everyone, Chantal here. Now, in each episode from today onwards, you and I are going to take a little trip down memory lane as I share some of my all-time favorite episodes from the past 5 years of the show. We're kicking things off with episode 114, featuring one of our most amazing guests ever, Mark Schaefer. This episode actually came to mind for me today because I had referred his book, Known, to a great PT friend of mine, and I got a text message 2 days later telling me that he had binge listened to the Audible version of the book in less than 48 hours. So it was just such a great reminder to me of what a fantastic book it is and how much I loved doing this interview with Mark. So that episode was called How to Build Your Personal Brand and Become Known. You can take a listen today by clicking the link in today's show notes or going to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and searching the number 114. I'll see you next week for our next Rewind show.
Hi FBP family, it's JT from Active Management, the founding partner of the Fitness Business Podcast. Thanks to the amazing technology at our fingertips, we can now work with clients all over the world. But right now, you can join the free online Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group of people just like you. Sure, I share weekly resources, but it's the power of the community that you will experience that will make this your go-to Facebook group. Remember, it's free, fun, and inspirational. Go to facebook.com/groups/active management community.
Thank you for joining me for this week's show. And a reminder that all the resources and links for today's episode can be found at fbp.com. And thank you to our founding partner, Active Management. Active Management is a fitness business coaching company that helps clients all over the world. And this month, I have a business tip for you all. Join the Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group, and you will meet like-minded fitness owners and managers from across the globe. Just go to facebook.com/groups/active management community. It is a highly engaging community where JT from Active Management shares loads of resources, photos from inside gyms, reasons to exercise, a monthly book club, challenges, and even ideas under $50. It's free and an awesome community. Facebook.com/groups/active management community. What you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.